Mr. Hanner, would you give us?
Would you please all rise? Almighty God, we come to you tonight and thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us, namely this land and the people who settled it, people of honor, integrity, people who wanted to be free, and so we're standing on their shoulders, and we want to participate in we the people and get our government back, get our country back. So, Father, we ask you to be with us and guide us in this effort. And we thank you for this building, and we thank you for everybody that's here tonight. And I pray in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Joe. Ron, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Let's pledge our allegiance not to a flag that we disregard, but a flag that we respect. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ron. Good to see you guys again. Nice crowd.
Good to see you too.
Yeah. You're the only one to say that. Thanks.
I said yes over here.
Anybody else? All right, thanks.
Okay.
All right, guys. This has been a really busy week. You know, you guys know what's happening. I mean, there's so many things going on. It's just really hard to keep up. Federal government is shut down. So that means that 90-year-old World War II vets can't go see the memorial to themselves. Interesting. Death penalty, this one gets me. Death benefits for our military were not being paid. Yellowstone, Mount Rushmore, closed. Have you seen that on TV? People staying in the Yellowstone Lodge can't walk 100 yards to see Old Faithful. Criminals. You know, Mount Rushmore. If you've seen that on TV, the road that goes past Mount Rushmore, they put cones along the edge so you can't pull out into the turnouts to take pictures. Interesting. So, I did find some really good news though. I think this is really good news. The TSA is still patting down little old ladies. Good news. Park rangers are getting plenty of overtime, putting up barricades. That's good news for them. And Washington, D.C. just made an extra $100. They ticketed a jogger for jogging through a closed park. And oh, by the way, it took 2 rangers to do that. So, you know, extra $100 is good. And the best of all, this is good. The Pentagon. The Pentagon's in charge of, anytime you hear that, doesn't that make you think? The Pentagon is in charge of keeping hundreds of golf courses open. Have a nice day, Mr. President. So, on a lighter note, or maybe not, Linda, would you come up and introduce our speaker for us?
Okay, now it's big. Evening, everybody. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
I would like to introduce Leanne Chrisman. She's the president of Healthy Solution Insurance Service. Their team have been assisting employers and individuals in the North State with their health needs for over 15 years. Leanne has been living in Chico since 1980, where she attended CSU. She enjoys volunteering since being a member of her sorority through the Chamber of Commerce, who recognized her work by giving her the Chamber of Commerce Volunteer of the Year Award. Back to the class. glasses. I tried. The company serves on the board of North Valley chapter of the Association of Health Underwriters. This has allowed Leanne and her staff to be leaders in the insurance industry, providing information and education on Patients Protection and Affordable Care Act and healthcare reform legislation. Their goal is to advocate, educate, and supplicate, which we hope you can do for us tonight. So please welcome Leanne Chrisman.
Does this thing come out? Right?
Yes.
Because I'm kind of a walker. I can't just stand in one place. So you said on a lighter note, well, we'll see about that by the time I'm finished. I'm not sure. So again, thank you all for being here. And as Linda said, I have been on the North Valley Association of Health Underwriters. I've been a board member for 5-6 years now. And we saw this law passed in 2010, and we all at that time thought there's no way in the world they're going to pass that thing, because nobody's read it. Well, we all know that story. And then we all thought the bill would get repealed in 2012, and I mean, if I had been a betting person, I would have bet my house and I would have lost. I mean, it was a shock to all of us in the industry that did not get overturned. And I was talking to some folks here, and as I do presentations, I've given this presentation to many organizations, and I have to tell you guys, normally it's an hour-long presentation. That's why I didn't bring the whole PowerPoint slides and everything, because I didn't think you wanted to listen to this for an hour. So I am going to condense it down. I do try to stay somewhat unpolitical. I know I'm in a very friendly group here, and I do appreciate that. You know, it is known as the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. We have always called it patient protection Americans can't afford. And we are seeing that today with what's going on as the Covered California exchanges open in California. So the bill was passed in 2010. Our organization has been invited to the table both at the federal and the state level, fortunately, to give some input. We have not won all the battles, but trust me, there have been some pretty good-sized battles that we were able to get accomplished. One of them, as you guys probably knew, was part of the bill that was going to require every business-to-business transaction over $600 to have a 1099 form issued. And we did fight that. We had our lobbyists fight that, and that did get overturned. One of the other things was the Class Act, which was that Long-Term Care Act, which was all going to be voluntary. It was set up to fail, basically. And again, they did pull that out, which was surprising because they said, you can't take pieces out. You have to dump the whole thing, but they did backpedal a little bit. So where are we today? Today we do have, facing us January 1st, 2014, the individual mandate. As I'm sure you heard, the business mandate has been postponed until 2015, and that was the piece of the law that was going to require businesses with more than 50 full-time equivalent employees to provide insurance for their qualified staff or face penalties. The individual mandate is still in place. Medicaid expansion is occurring in California. Not every state has done that. And Medicaid, of course, in California, we call it Medi-Cal, and we'll get into that a little bit. And we will have subsidies, federal subsidy money, available to folks who need assistance buying insurance in the covered California market. The caveat there is that's the only place they can get their insurance with their subsidy assistance. And then of course we do have the exchanges being set up, which I'm sure you've all heard the advertisements, Covered California, affordable care for everybody. Well, we'll see how that all comes out, because right now what I'm seeing, I specialize in business insurance, selling health insurance to groups. We do a few individual plans on the side, and my individuals all this last week or two received increases anywhere between 10 to 40%. In fact, there's a couple of them that I have that are over 100% increases on their individual insurance premiums. So that's what we're faced with. So who has to have insurance? Basically, it's everybody. They do have exceptions for religious objectors. Obviously, those who are here illegally don't have to comply with this. They get their health care free at the emergency room. If you're incarcerated, you get free health care. But everybody else is going to have insurance starting January 2014. They are going to give people 90 days where they can get their ducks in a row to get on an insurance plan before, they will have to pay the penalty on their taxes at the end of the year. So on those, like I said, the individual premiums, I have one individual, $662 was what their insurance plan was costing them. It's now going to cost them over $1,100 a month. And the plan benefits, in many respects, aren't even as good as what they have. One of the things that they did is they said, all of your plans now have to meet certain criteria. Originally, they said no plan can have more than a $2,000 deductible. When the insurance company showed them what those premiums were going to look like, they did backpedal a little bit. And so now, in California anyway, we are allowed to have plans with deductibles of at least $5,000. Well, I have a lot of individuals who, they just need catastrophic insurance. They're willing to have the $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 deductibles, and they're not going to be allowed to have that anymore. So all those folks are being pushed into a plan with a lower deductible, and thus the increases. One of the other things is all those plans that have to have those essential benefits, and a lot of folks don't know this, is every insurance plan is going to have to include dental and vision care for children under the age of 19. That's going to add quite a bit to the rates. It's going to add, actually, a lot to the rates. The vision portion is built right into the premiums, so we're seeing that hitting all of our January 1 renewals. The dental premium, and the vision premium is going to be charged regardless. The dental premium is only going to be added if you have family members under the age of 19 on your plan. So they did, again, those were some battles that we fought down in Sacramento and said, how can you add this to every policy and penalize the folks that don't need it? That was exactly what they did years ago when we said that every policy had to have maternity. So you have your, 62-year-old male who was paying for maternity coverage on his insurance plan. But, those are our legislators. We gotta love them. And there are no plans that can have the maximum out-of-pocket cost, and that includes your deductible and everything, is now going to be $6,350 per individual per year. And again, we have some folks that have out-of-pocket maximums of $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 because they're willing to keep their premiums down and fund. They have the ability to fund those expenses should they occur. Again, those choices have now been taken away from those folks. All right, so if you don't have insurance, what's the penalty? You ready? You think it's going to be huge? I'm sure you guys have heard.
2%.
$95 or 1% of your income, whichever is higher. So how many of you think that a 20-something-year-old, we call them the young invincibles, who currently does not have insurance, 28-year-old, these are the folks that we want to get into the pool to offset the folks that are going to be incurring a lot of expenses on claims. How many of those folks do you think are going to run right out and buy insurance with that kind of a penalty?
3%. It was broadcast on the news.
Yeah, good. So you know what, I will take questions at the end just because there is so much information. And that penalty is going to go up. So in 2015, it's going to be 2% or $325 per person. And in 2016, 2.5% or $696 per person. So again, to me, if you were going to put a mandate out there, which I totally disagree with. And again, I usually don't interject this much opinion, but I think I'm in a pretty safe place here.
Yeah.
If you're going to put a penalty out there, you needed to have something that had teeth in it. I just can't see how this is going to work and how it's going to be funded. So one of the other pieces was the expansion of Medicaid. So in California, we chose to expand Medi-Cal. It was 100% of the federal poverty level. The federal government said if you're going to expand it, it has to be 135% in California. Because we have so much money, we decided to do 138% of the federal poverty level. So that has been expanded. That is going to create, if we're going to put folks into the Medi-Cal system, how many doctors right now in Paradise do you know of that actually take Medi-Cal? In Chico, we have clinics. and that's pretty much it. We're going to have a real access to care, so those folks are going to have insurance, but they aren't going to have really any access to care. They're going to still end up in the emergency rooms, which is going to cost all of us a lot more money. So I don't know that that Medi-Cal expansion was really the solution there. So I talked a little bit about subsidy assistance. Who can get subsidy assistance? If you are an individual, you can earn up to as much as $45,960, and you may still qualify for subsidy assistance. That's a pretty steep figure. Family of four, $94,200. We looked at that back in 2010, and we said, Butte County, everybody in Butte County is going to qualify for some sort of subsidy assistance. Now, those folks may only get $10 or $12 off of their overall insurance premium. The sweet spot is if you're right about 150, 200% of federal poverty level. I don't know how the government's going to really be able to sustain that kind of assistance over the long haul. We have federal money. California was the first state to jump on board, no surprise there, and take the federal money by doing the Medi-Cal expansion and offering the subsidy assistance. And after this year, after 2015, our program has to be able to stand on its own. And most of that's going to be done through taxes on insurance plans, which, by the way, have already begun and are going to hit even harder January 1st. So your insurance premiums will go up January 1st. If you're a small business owner, all those premiums, we're telling our folks to expect about a 4, maybe even 4.5% increase January 1, on top of the other increases that are coming. So with the subsidies, if you work for an employer who offers affordable insurance, affordable meaning that your portion for just you, not your family members, but your portion for just you does not exceed 9.5% of your household income, you will not be able to apply for a subsidy. And if that plan meets the essential benefits, which all of the plans are being redesigned to meet the essential benefits, so every plan will. The downfall of the whole thing is if your insurance is affordable for you, it also disqualifies your dependents from qualifying for any subsidy assistance. So even though your insurance, let's say your employer pays 100% for you, but nothing for your dependents, and you're having to pay almost $2,000 a month to insure your family on your employer's group plan, and you want to go out and get them, see if they can get a subsidy because your income level would qualify, because your employer provides qualified, affordable insurance for you, you are disqualified from the subsidy assistance. So what we see happening, and we have fought this battle, and I don't think folks knew this was written this way in the law until this last year. We've been talking about it for 2 years, our organization has. And what we see happening is we're going to have, employees go up to their employer and say, Mr. Employer, you know what? Thanks so much for offering insurance, but you'd really be doing me a favor just by not offering insurance to anybody. Can you cancel our group policy? And folks, it's happening. I have a number of groups that are doing just that. They are canceling their group policies so that their employees can go out and get subsidy assistance in the covered California government plan. So, and we warned folks about that. We tried to tell them, but it's pretty scary. And those subsidies that are very generous, those levels can't be changed until 2019. And even at that point, it's only if those subsidy payments exceed 0.504% of the gross domestic product. So we're stuck with those subsidies, those generous subsidies, and we'll see how the state manages it. So all insurance is going to be guaranteed issue. Nobody could be denied coverage. Pre-existing conditions will be excluded. The exchanges, covered California, you're going to have a platinum plan, a gold plan, a silver plan, a bronze plan, and in some cases for certain individuals you may be able to get a catastrophic plan. Those are pretty much going to be the young invincibles that have an income level that would prevent them from getting anything else. Who's going to play in the market in California? Well, we were told, wow, we're going to pick up all kinds of new insurance companies. I think there's 12 insurance companies throughout the state of California. In Butte County, 2. We have 2 markets. In the individual market, we have Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield of California. Same carriers we've had all this time. In the group market, we have 1. We have Blue Shield of California. Anthem Blue Cross took a look at the contract, they saw some of the requirements, and they said thanks but no thanks, and they withdrew their application from the Covered California Small Group Shop Exchange. So what you're going to have is you're going to have 2 different markets. You're going to have the Covered California market, and you're going to have the private market on the other side. The plans are pretty much going to be the same inside and outside the market, so they're trying to mirror the platinum, gold, silver, bronze, and what that means, platinum, roughly 90% of your overall medical expenses would be covered, gold, 80%, silver, 70%, bronze, 60%. So if you're a company that's selling insurance inside the exchange, you'll have to sell the exact same plans at the exact same rates outside the exchange, but you can sell additional products. What we are seeing the carriers doing, and this is big chaos since October 1st. I have been working 12 to 14 hours a day because there's so much chaos out there. If you go to the Covered California website, coveredca.com, you can do a little calculator and it's going to pop up in your area based on your zip code, what plans are available, what subsidy you might qualify for, so forth and so on. And it's going to show, as an individual, Anthem Blue Cross or Blue Shield of California. Anthem Blue Cross plans, we learned last week, the Anthem VP had to stand in front of a room of us agents and tell us this. Still have not been approved by the Department of Insurance. So the exchanges are open in California, but plans are not available to be bought yet. It has been chaotic. The networks in the exchanges, and unfortunately they made this across the board in the individual market, even outside the exchange. The insurance companies have decided to do this. The networks of physicians are going to be much smaller than the regular networks of doctors on private insurance plans. It's about a third, I believe, with Blue Shield, about a third of the size. And Blue Shield does not have a contract at this point with, if you're in the exchange or in an individual product with Blue Shield, with any of the UC hospitals due to that network. Anthem Blue Cross is a little bigger. They just released their network today. So people are out there, you know, Covered California's open October 1st, go online, you can do it. Well, but the online system isn't ready for online applications, and but you can't buy that Anthem product because it hasn't been approved yet by the Department of Insurance. And we really can't tell you what the doctor network's going to look like yet because we're still trying to get doctors to sign contracts, which they really don't want to do because they are paying about, I'm trying to remember what the percentage was, but it's below what Medicare pays. So we don't have physicians beating the door down to become contracted within Covered California. If you want to get a subsidy, you have to buy your insurance inside the Covered California market. If you're a small business owner and you've been taking that small business credit since it became available in 2010, you will now have to buy your group insurance inside the Covered California shop market. So that adage, if you like the plan you have, you can keep it, not so true. Not so much anymore. Let's see. So, Covered California did have, or the federal government did say that all exchanges are going to be set up in every state. California, as I said, was the first one. We have 17 states that elected to set up their own state-run exchanges. And in California, I have to say this. I shouldn't say this because I've met Peter Lee. I sat at the table with him. We have invited him to come speak to our insurance agents and do education. But if you really want to have a plan that's going to succeed, let's hire a CEO that perhaps hasn't already tried this once and had the company go bankrupt. He actually oversaw a private health insurance exchange in California back in the 90s that went bankrupt. So, I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to say it. We have 7 states that have kind of said, we'll be in a partnership with the federal government, and I'm not sure quite how those look, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't taken the time to study because it's been enough just to keep up on what's going on in California and try to keep our businesses and agents informed. And then we have 26 states that punted to the government, and they didn't punt back to the government until December of last year. And that's what you're hearing in the news about how in the world in 10 months can the federal government set up an entire health insurance system in 26 states. California's been working on it since 2010 when we first took that federal money. And we still ain't got it right. So it's a mess out there. It is a mess. Like I said, as an agent, we're doing the best we can to try to help our folks and muddle through this and try to find what's going to be best for them in the future. The penalties for businesses, I'm not going to get too much into that, but the penalties in 2015, if you're a business owner and you have more than 50 full-time equivalent employees, and let me tell you, the calculation how to figure out a full-time equivalent employee is a process on its own, and you really need a professional to help you do that, is $2,000 times the number of full-time employees less the first 30 employees. So we do have a lot of our large employers that said, well, heck, that's a lot cheaper than what I'm spending. I spend way more than $2,000 per employee on my health insurance right now. Why don't I just pay the penalty? And we have gone back to them and said, number one, why did you offer insurance before? You did it because you wanted to retain and keep quality employees. You wanted to be able to get them in the door. Number two, that $2,000 is going straight to the government. It is not a business write-off at all. And number three, when you have that employee in your business, you want that employee to be there every day and be healthy, not be sick, because they don't have insurance. So fortunately, with our larger groups that we have, we are not seeing any of our large groups throwing in the towel yet. I have one that just got a 29% increase on their insurance for January 1st, so we'll see what we can do there. I know I'm probably running out of time.
Take all the time you want.
I talked about the complicated formula, talked about the affordability, the tax credit. Okay, so as I said, January 1st, we are looking at, and these are just a few that I do know, it was estimated to be about 2.5% of a national health insurance tax. And all of our groups that have already renewed and think that they have their rates locked in are going to turn around in January and have to pay this. And then there's a national reinsurance fee that's going to be about 1.5%. And if a group is on a plan that is participating in the SHOP exchange, i.e. Blue Shield of California, there's going to be an additional tax there. And we are not quite sure what that's going to be. One of the other things that has occurred from all this is Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield decided, okay, well, we're going to try to beat the system. Any of my groups that renewed earlier this year, if they renewed, January 1st, 2014, February, whatever, they said, we're going to let you do an early renewal. We're going to let you renew your group insurance December 1st, 2013, which was a great benefit to these businesses because they'll be able to, number one, lock in 2013 pre-Obamacare plans without all the additional requirements until December 2014. They'll be able to keep their current coverage and keep their current rates minus the additional taxes that are going to be charged on those premiums starting in January. So of the 120 groups that I have, it actually made sense for all but 4 of them to take advantage of that renewal. Thus the 14-hour days that we've been doing, because we were just told that we had, a short time to get this done. We were given a deadline of October 7th, and we had 1 month to do it. So we scrambled, we got a hold of all of our employer groups, worked up all the numbers for them, and are happy to say that we got all of ours done, and then found out today the deadline's been extended till the 21st of October. That's okay. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to relax. Well, not really.
Well, you're done.
Yeah. Well, now we're working on all the individual stuff.
Yeah.
So some of the other things, some other considerations that have come through, I'm trying to find my notes here. Employer plans are going to they cannot have more than a 60-day waiting period for new hire employees if they offer insurance. The federal law said that you can't have more than 90 days, but again, California being so generous said, no, that's too long, we're going to make it 60 days. Right now, we have a lot of groups in ag and in construction that have a 6-month waiting period for their new hired employees, just because of the seasonal, status of that, and kind of the transient status of the employees as well. That's going to have a huge impact if they're having to offer insurance to somebody after just a 60-day probationary waiting period. The other things that are occurring is right now, your age brackets are kind of a 6-to-1 ratio, 7-to-1 ratio, kind of depending on the company. meaning you have a rate charged for folks under the age of 30, 30 to 39 gets another rate, 40 to 49 gets another rate, 50 to 54, 55 to 59, 60 to 64, and then we all get it to go into Medicare. Well, they're going to squish that down to a 3-to-1 ratio. So the way it was is your 64-year-old was paying roughly 6 or 7 times more than your 20-something-year-old. Well, they're going to squeeze that down so that 60-some-year-old person cannot be charged more than 3 times more than your 20-something-year-old person. So do you think they're going to lower that 64-year-old? They're not. They're bumping everybody up. And again, it's the 20-something-year-olds and 30-something-year-olds we need to get into the system in order to make this thing work. And those are the ones that are seeing the largest increases in premiums because they're being pushed up to meet that 3-to-1 criteria. Not only that, but it used to be we had those 10-year brackets. Now they're going to rate everybody on every year that they age up. So there's going to be a different rate for every single person every single year. On the group side, we had all of our family members were based on the employee's age, made it a lot easier for the employer to handle business and take care of business. Well, now every single person in the family is going to be rated. So that employer is going to have to keep track of every single employee's age along with all of their family members who are on the plan. So those are some things that we've seen that have had a huge impact to the businesses. Compliance has been huge. There are, as soon as the bill passed, there were notices that employers were mandated to get out to all of their employees or face penalties. And I actually had some groups, and they were actually targeting, and I did hear this from the Department of Labor, directly from their mouths. They were actually targeting the folks that took advantage of that small business tax credit when it passed in 2010. And they went after them and they did audits to make sure all these notices got out. I had 2 groups that went through an audit. Fortunately, we had all the notices out for these groups. But there are something like, I think I counted 14 annual notices an employer is required to give their employees regarding insurance.
Oh, insurance, okay.
Yes, regarding insurance. That's just regarding insurance. The last one, of course, was the notice that everybody was in a panic that the employers were required to give out to all employees, regardless of whether or not they offered insurance, by October 1st, informing them of the availability of the covered California exchanges. Originally, there was going to be a $100 per person per day penalty if those notices were not distributed to their employees. Again, as agents, our organization went back and said, you guys, you gotta get rid of that. These are, you want these people as your friends, you want them as your allies to help inform the folks of the availability of the exchanges. Why are you, biting the hand that feeds you, so to speak? So is it a lighter topic? No, not much.
Lighter than what?
The good news is we have been out there. We are trying to keep people informed. I have actually, for a while in 2010, I felt like I was doing the speaker circuit, trying to talk to business owners, trying to talk to organizations such as yours, chambers, to educate people on what's going on and what we can do to try to get around it and circumvent it as best as possible. It's here, folks. Like it or not, it is here.
Has it been funded yet by the House?
It has, yeah.
No.
Not here yet.
I know, that's true, that's true. However, in California, there's organizations waiting in the wings if the defunding goes through. They're just waiting in the wings, because our state has so much money. So, yeah, they are waiting in the wings for single payer. Okay, so I will be happy to take questions. Go ahead.
You were saying that we need to get the 20-year-olds in. I work with mostly 20-year-olds, and the conversation around the table yesterday was they were all saying they can afford to pay their insurance rates, but they are going to choose to go on to Medicare. Most of them are single mothers.
Or Medi-Cal.
Or Medi-Cal.
Yes, because if
How
their
do
income...
they have that choice?
They can't, if their income qualifies, they will go into Medi-Cal. Just as I've had people that say, I don't want Medi-Cal, I make too much or I don't make enough to get a subsidy, but I would rather pay something than go into Medi-Cal. Can I do that? No, they are forced to go into Medi-Cal.
What's the cutoff for the amount?
The cutoff is, I actually have a rate chart back in the back. Let me see. Let's see. I think I have that up here in the first part of the notes here too. Someplace. Well, you know what? I'll just walk back to the back and find my cheat sheet back there. Quicker. And I do have these rate charts back here, folks, as well as my full PowerPoint presentation. So Medi-Cal, if you're single individual in California in 2014, you will qualify for Medi-Cal if you earn $15,856 a year. Family of 4, $32,499 is the Medi-Cal eligibility.
So if they make like 24, they cannot go into Medi-Cal, they have to be into one of these insurances and
Yes,
pay?
if they make $24,000, they're probably going to qualify for a pretty substantial subsidy. I actually did kind of an illustration on somebody, I think it was right at about the $26,000 income level for a 20-something-year-old. And again, this is the Cover California website, which the plans haven't been approved yet, so it's still kind of up in the air. The full premium was going to be, I believe, $320, $320, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending upon the plan you chose. The individual's portion that they were going to have to pay was going to be $104 a month, and the rest would be picked up by a subsidy.
I was just wondering, because they were all talking about there's no way they were going to pay for insurance. They were all just going to drop right into Medi-Cal. But they're all around the 24, 26.
Yeah, they will not qualify for Medi-Cal at that level.
Is that net or adjusted gross?
That is, well, that's modified adjusted gross income.
Is that the platinum plan?
I just wanted,
No, that was actually the silver plan.
we have our own insurance plans, individual, and we keep getting that's through Blue Shield, we keep getting information about grandfathered plans. So basically, I'm understanding that we can just keep our plan as it is through Blue Shield.
Yes, you can. And you guys, with that plan, are fortunate because you will have the expanded network. However, of doctors, yeah. I did just hear from a Blue Shield representative today that said that they do want to try to phase those plans out. So down the road, you may see some pretty hefty increases on those plans.
I was on the premiums.
Yes.
I was afraid of that.
Yes.
In order to,
And this representative actually came out and told me that today. I was shocked.
Oh, no.
They really want to discourage those grandfathered plans.
really, because they keep sending us things saying, oh, you can stay your plan.
Yeah.
But
If you have a grandfathered plan, I would keep it. I can't see that they're going to increase those any more than the huge increases I'm seeing on the folks that they're pushing into the, exchange plans, so to speak.
I have a question. I heard on the radio that on your lower end plan, like $40 to $100 a month, your deductible is $5,000.
Yes, it is $5,000 with a maximum out-of-pocket cost of $6,350. The other thing is if folks qualify for subsidy assistance, they may also qualify for cost-sharing reductions, CSRs. So the way it works, that bronze plan has a $5,000 deductible. The silver plan has a $2,000 deductible. The gold, I can't remember if it's $250 or $500 deductible, and then your platinum has no deductible. They're not going to be selling any platinum plans. I don't know why they even wasted their time with that. That was pretty silly in my opinion. So what will happen is if that same $26,000 income person that qualified for subsidy assistance so that her premium was, or his premium was $104, that premium or that deductible on their silver plan would have dropped from $2,000 down to $1,500. There also would have been reduction in office visit co-pays, prescription drug co-pays. So in addition to the subsidy assistance, there's also cost sharing reductions.
And that $6,300 is Per individual, I assume?
Per
Because
individual.
we have 4,000 on him and 4,000.
That is per
Okay.
individual, yeah. And it's capped out at 2 per family. So if you have more than,
Okay.
you know, 2 family members, then it does cap out at 2 per family.
I have 2 questions regarding Medi-Cal right now. I have 2 questions regarding the Medi-Cal. Will the new Medi-Cal program include any kind of dental or vision for adults, for people over 19? Because you said it's mandatory for under 19, but right now the current Medi-Cal does not have any kind of dental or very, you can get an eye exam or a tooth exam, but the only work they do is pull your tooth out.
And that is going to stay the same. The other thing that we're going to see in California, or in Butte County, actually there's 7 counties in California that have already transferred, so no, there's not going to be any change to that.
Can people on Medi-Cal get an additional dental or vision plan?
They can. There's not a lot out there in the private market. I can tell you that right now. There's very little. If you want to go to one of the dental clinics, your Access Dentals, your Western Dentals, or something like that, then yes, there's stuff that's available. But to go to the dentist of your choice, there's not a lot in Butte County. On the Medi-Cal topic, the 7 counties in the state have had a very managed care Medi-Cal program, and Butte County, actually several counties in California are now going to go to the same mode. And I don't know who that administrator is in Butte County. Again, I don't do a lot of Medi-Cal, but you may know that even more than I do. Who is it?
It's Paul Bugnacki.
Who is it?
Paul Bugnacki.
Paul Bugnacki?
Yeah, he's the administrator of the Medi-Cal services, at least for private clinicians in Butte County.
But so it's going to go back to a managed care HMO type organization. Covered California has actually contracted with an outside organization, and I do have the name of it in my binder, to ensure that unnecessary services are not being performed. So again, if you're in the exchange, you're probably going to be scrutinized a lot more for the services that you're trying to receive than you would in the private market. So I see this almost, you know, we already have Medi-Cal. This is going to be Medi-Cal light, and then we're going to have the private market, because we're going to see a lot of services that are going to be rejected.
Until they get the private market plan up.
Until they try to go to single payer like they want to do. I mean, I honestly think that what they're trying to accomplish is you know, let this get out there. Let's see how it doesn't work, and then the government can come back and say, well, we tried it your way, now we're going to do it our way. And that's my fear on this, because I just don't see how financially this is going to remain solvent with those kind of subsidy assistance dollars being given out. Did you have a question?
Yes. Could you comment on quotas established that people who over 74? I understood that there's some cutoffs that would be quite dramatic if you had not necessarily catastrophic diseases, but even if you have cancer, that you would not be entitled to get full coverage and benefits.
And again, that was part of the death panels that are out there, and I do see that could very easily occur. And I've talked to a lot of physicians. I actually insure a lot of physicians, a lot of doctor groups, and a lot of them have even said, you know, if I've got somebody that's in their, you know, that's 97 years old and breaks the hip and tells me they need a full hip replacement, why should I do it? You know, and who is really allowed to make that decision? You know, who's allowed to make that decision?
Hi, I'm 51 and I'm in the state of Alaska, and I have a sole proprietorship, so I have an individual plan, and my plan even went up even though I don't have a lot of claims. And so I wonder how I could get a better deal on an individual plan when I'm up in the state of Alaska. The state of Alaska governor refused to accept Obama bucks.
You are probably not going to get a better deal up there. Your premiums are going to continue to go up just like everybody else's. And here's the folks that have private insurance right now. Again, the insurance companies are being taxed to help fund this thing. You know, we had a lot of other taxes, durable medical equipment. We talked about I'm sure you guys talked at length about the capital gains taxes and the increase in Medicare tax. Which, by the way, that increase in the Medicare tax is the first time that Medicare tax dollars are being spent on something other than Medicare. They're actually being filtered directly to Covered California. I don't see that there's going to be any viable option. I think the private market is going to increase just as much as the Covered California market without the advantage of the subsidy assistance.
I think you mentioned something about religious exemptions for people who wanted to not be involved. What does that involve?
I knew that question was going to come up, and I've been trying to get the answer to that. There is actually, from what I've been told, there is a whole application process to have that religious status noted formally, and I am not aware of what that is. But yeah, it would be nice to find that out.
I had an attorney from Reading tell me about it. The hoops you have to jump through, it's not like the common religious exemption that we've had, that the Supreme Court has said, you know, any religion. It's got all kinds of things, including one thing, the religion that you claim to be under has to have been enforced before 1950, or since 1950. But it's in section 14, or 141 or something, 1401 or something. There's this section that he gave me, and I haven't looked it up yet, but I thought I'm going to ask somebody that's kind of knows.
No, I've not heard on that. One other